The salt-laced wind, the way the gulls cried with a particular urgency, and the restless churning of the bay itself, they were all warnings etched into the very fabric of the place I'd called home for 50 years. But I, stubborn as the rocks that lined the harbour, had ignored them. I'd been lulled into a false sense of security by the decades of gentle lapping tides and sun-drenched days. My name is Thomas, and for as long as I can remember, my life has been braided with the rhythm of the sea. My father was a fisherman, and his father before him. The ocean was our provider, our playground, and as I was soon to learn, our unforgiving teacher. We lived in Port Blossom, a small, picturesque village clinging to the rugged coastline of Maine. We knew the moods of the bay like we knew the backs of our weathered hands. We respected its power, but somewhere along the line I'd begun to take it for granted. The day started like any other. The sky was a pale, washed-out blue, hinting at the possibility of a storm, but not making any definitive commitments. I was preparing my boat, the Wanderer, for a solo fishing trip. My wife, Martha, her face etched with a worry she tried to hide, stood on the porch, her apron stained with the blueberry jam she'd been making. "Thomas, are you sure you need to go today?" she asked, her voice a low hum against the wind. The radio mentioned a squall moving in. I patted her hand, feeling the warmth of her concern. "It'll be fine, Martha. I've weathered worse than a little squall. Besides, the cod are running, and we need to make up for last week's catch." That was my first mistake, dismissing her intuition, honed by years of living by the sea alongside me. It's foolish, really, how easily we dismiss the wisdom of those who love us. I could see the unease in her eyes, which mirrored my own in some secret place I'd locked away, but I pressed on, driven by a need to prove something to myself, to the sea, or perhaps to both. I motored out of the harbour, the familiar scent of brine and fish filling my lungs. The bay was deceptively calm, the waves gentle rollers, their white caps barely noticeable. I reached my usual spot, about 3 miles out, and dropped anchor. The sun, a weak, watery disk in the sky, offered little warmth. I baited my lines, feeling the thrill of the hunt, a primal satisfaction that never faded, no matter how many years I'd spent at sea. The first few hours were uneventful. I pulled in a few cod, their silver scales shimmering in the dull light, but the catch was meager, and the feeling of unease lingered. The wind began to pick up, and the sky grew darker, the washed-out blue replaced by a menacing grey. Little white horses danced on the surface of the water, and the rhythmic rocking of the boat became more agitated. I should have turned back then. I knew the signs, but pride, that old familiar nemesis, whispered in my ear, "Just a little longer. The cod are still running." The squall hit with the suddenness of a fist. One moment the sky was a simmering grey, and the next a curtain of rain descended, blurring the horizon. The wind shrieked like a banshee, whipping the waves into a frenzy. The Wanderer pitched and rolled, battling the relentless assault. I struggled to secure the lines, my hands numb with cold and fear, the boat becoming a fragile toy in the sea's grasp. A rogue wave, taller than any I'd ever encountered, slammed into the side of the boat, sending me sprawling across the deck. The impact ripped the anchor free, and the Wanderer was tossed around like a leaf in a gale. Hours passed, an eternity of fear and exhaustion. And then, just as I thought I couldn't hold on any longer, the wind began to die down, the waves slowly receding. The rain eased, revealing a bruised and swollen sky. As I approached the harbour, I saw Martha standing on the porch, her silhouette small and fragile against the fading light. She rushed down the steps, her face a mixture of relief and fury as she helped me ashore. I should have known better. The sea always had the last word. It hadn't needed to shout, it had simply reminded me of the power it held, the respect it deserved. I'd forgotten that the rhythm of life here was not a placid hum, a gentle lullaby, but a symphony that could just as easily become a violent storm. And I, the supposed master of this domain, had almost lost everything by forgetting that simple truth. Thank you for watching and listening. For more heartfelt stories like this, please like, subscribe, and comment.